about to go take a bath and then get out on the road. But I decided to talk about this because I found it very interesting. Very interesting. Of course, as you can see, um, I'm just ready to go take a bath. But before I do it, I just wanted to make this comment on the gods, particularly critical people who critically review movies. And I was looking at these disgruntled people who don't like Zack Snyder's method of storytelling, apparently, and nitpicking and fault finding, trying to nitpick his way of doing movies, even in the face of the fact that his movies had profound impact on people to do positive things, even in the face of his movies stirring up people to do unprecedented things and also to do acts of kindness and also to be creative and also to approach movies in a different way. The amount of people Zack Snyder's inspired in the movie making business is really strange how these people still go down the gauntlet of their bias. You're supposed to be a movie critic. You're not supposed to be someone who trashes a movie because you don't like the directorial choices and directorial style. You don't see me trashing Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman. You don't see me trashing the Russo brothers for their poor choice of how they did storytelling and their inconsistencies in the main villain, which was um, Thanos. Okay, very inconsistent with Thanos. Okay, the whole theory behind his half population maintenance for population control is stupid because he doesn't even adhere to it. Okay, but you don't hear me going on and about trashing the Russos. Listen, you can criticize something and put your emotional feelings to one side. It's about being a critic, means you're critiquing a work. And for even the most dogmatically negative critics I've seen out there that was very critical of Zack Snyder's work, especially BVS, I was pleasantly surprised that some of these gods, or at least supposedly gods of the business, and I put it in a common GODS because we're now the gods. We are now taking over the control. They've realized now that the people who have fought for this movie to see it, they're the ones who want it. And it doesn't really matter what these gods think. But I was looking at them because, I was surfing around last night into this morning. And I was looking at those who were dogmatic. And this is what they were saying, basically. Effectively, they were saying that Zack Snyder's Justice League has no place. There should be no future for this because they hate his style of directing, obviously. And also, they said this because Warner Brothers is moving in a different direction and everything points to them trying to nip it in the bud. Okay. And as some of the people that I feature on my thumbnail, I've been speaking about this. And a lot of these people can't get out of their emotions. For some reason, they can't critically assess a movie, whether they like it or dislike it. Critically assess a movie based on the merits of what the movie provides them. Okay. They go on about Zack Snyder's slow mo. Some people say it's loud and nonsensical. A lot of them say it's humorous and comedic because Zack Snyder, his take on it is very grandiose and bodacious. And I'm laughing about all of these things because I could say very same thing about Marvel movies. In fact, they try to go into the fact that which is it's ridiculous, but their critiques of Zack Snyder's characters is they're perfect characters, gods who he tries to make flawed in his movies, whereas Marvel movies are people and human, and they have conflicts. And what do they think conflicts are? Literal fisticuffs. They think conflicts. I can't believe these people could. But again, when you have a hatred for something, when you have a visceral hatred for something, because maybe you serve the devil, maybe you love the caustic environment of Hollywood and you want business as usual, and this guy's shaking up things and really thinks other people are naive. and all your platitudes and your adverbs and your adjectives, but you're really effectively saying actually nothing. Your critiques are zero. We begin to realize how caustic critics are. I was hearing them talking about toxic fan bases, but we don't talk enough about the toxic industry, and it's being exposed. Ray Fisher's exposing it. You know, very recently there, Gina Carano. We're learning, but we've seen this before. We've seen the toxic Hollywood industry in terms of how they blacklisted certain people. They blacklisted the comedian. What's her name? The black comedian. Very successful. Won a Emmy. Won a Academy Award, Oscar. And still, this woman has been blacklisted from Hollywood. You see them trying to blacklist Zack Snyder. Okay, we all know Ridley Scott, Zack Snyder, James Cameron. Um, even Patty Jenkins. These are great directors. There's no if or buts. Their work speaks to it. Okay. All right. Now you don't have to. You don't have to agree that uh, they you don't have to agree that you like their style of directing. But the one thing you must agree with is these people are visionaries, trendsetters. They brought new things to the genre. They brought new topics of discussion to the genre. Okay. So when I listen to these salty gods talk, and I decided to go and listen to them so I could comment on them, and they're fewer and fewer in number. A lot of them, in fact, even the ones that are trying not to be salty because they've been proven wrong. And remember, they've been proven wrong. These gods have been proven wrong, and they're going to be proven wrong again. But I just want to go into this because I just feel it's very important I put it out there. Because they really feel that this studio can bully people into what it wants them to see, what it thinks its vision is. And it's not going to happen. We are going to fight them back. Now, there's just too much media out there now. There's not just the old media. We got new media out here, and the new media is going to demand that the Snyderverse be restored. And Warner Brothers is going to learn very quickly that no, you cannot charm the fans into something and misdirect us into something. We're very focused on what we want. So if they're thinking, we said this a long time, and the Snyder Cut fans have said this a long time, Aquaman was successful because the Snyder Cut fans, for the most part, endorsed it. I didn't endorse it. I didn't watch it. Okay? I didn't pay to watch it. But most of the Snyder Cut fans in the Snyder Cut community supported it because Jason Momoa and James Wan was linked to Zack Snyder. Okay? But I'm going to cut this discussion short. Let me just get to the point here. Okay, so the gods, once again, I'm making another prediction. They're saying the Snyder Cut and the Snyder Cut universe, the Snyderverse that we want to see, the air cut that we want to see, the continuation of parts 2 and 3 of Justice League that we want to see. They're once again making a prediction that it will not see the light of day because they believe, and they're hovering on the thought that Warner Brothers Pictures is going to have to put up that money. But we all know movies that come from sponsorship. And a lot of that $300 million that it was necessary to bring forth Zack Snyder's Justice League comes from donors. So if people believe in this movie, HBO Max, not Warner Brothers Pictures, HBO Max, well, they'll have to use the Warner Brothers Pictures lot. HBO Max and Warner Media will get investors for it. People who will invest into Zack Snyder's vision. It's been that way since Man of Steel. And this movie is going to, by far, because that's what they want. They want money. They want cha-ching. This movie by far, I haven't even seen this movie yet, and I already know. This movie by far is going to push the pendulum in the direction that people who are not even fans of this movie, I've seen people who are not even fans of this movie when they do the reviews, and Zack Snyder's work said this is a significantly better movie, period, than the 2017 Justice League. Now, some of the other people say, well, it was a longer movie, so it had to be better. No, longer doesn't equate to better. Well, the characters got more time to flush out and blah. I'm like, no, that's not true. Making a longer movie is actually much more challenging because you have to rein in people's interest for 4 hours. So that's not true at all. So that's a much more challenging thing to do than making a short movie. But because there was so much story that Zach had to tell, you know, this 4 hour cut's going to just blitz by people, a lot of people. A lot of people are going to say, oh, this is actually easier viewing. And the fact that they're comparing it to the 2017 Justice League, you know, like, you know, in Batman v Superman, night and day. You know, that song with I don't know if it's Tony, whoever's singing it, but night and day. It's night and day. So the gods. So they're basically, this is their argument. For those who are, say they put on their critical lens, they put on their critical eye. Now, obviously, these people are intimidated that Marvel doesn't have that kind of gravitas, that kind of scope, that kind of majesty that you see in a movie. So how do they do it? They say Zack Snyder, he's just bringing forth spectacle, you know, but there's no continuity in the universe. This is one of the arguments. Another one that they come with is Zack Snyder's Justice League is style over substance. That's the second argument they come with. Now, if it's style over substance, why is there a movement for it? Why is it that people's lives have been affected by this movie? Why is it that people have found a way to effect change, good change, through this movie? Particularly to people who are suicidal, particularly to feeding America, particularly to the creativity that people, it has sparked a wave of creativity beyond Comic-Con. It has had people wanting to do things to make a change, especially in this dynamic world right now. And then in the crux of COVID, where people are staying home, this movie can be a great release for a lot of people. It's pivotal. It's always timely. And it's so strange because to hear these critics talk as if they're in some bubble or something, devoid of time, and just belt out the same narrators, you have to wonder if these people have been paid to do this. Or if their minds have turned off from Zack Snyder's stuff for whatever reason. They just don't like him. But I believe, honestly, because these people who usually talk about Zack Snyder stuff compared to Marvel, I believe they're sold out Marvel shills, either subliminally or otherwise. They have sold themselves out to Marvel because the pettiness that I see in Marvel, that people try to make grandiose, I mean, that's what turns me off from Marvel. It has no depth whatsoever. It's shallow. And the constructs are so shallow to me. Now, having said that, I am one of the first people to say it's very successful in what it's doing, because what they do is they diffuse situations with humor, which, again, there is a place for that. There are people who will like that. So I don't go all in on Marvel. Whatever they're doing, they're successful at what they're doing. And even if they weren't successful at what they were doing, I wouldn't bash them for it. That's their style. That's what they're doing. It doesn't appeal to me, but it's their style. That's what they're doing. I respect it. Even though it doesn't appeal to me, I gotta give their films a fair shake. I'm not just gonna trounce their movies. So when I see a critic trouncing Zack Snyder stuff and trying to make fun of things that really honestly fit, like, I don't understand it. Like, if you act, you tell me, well, in the movie, Zack Snyder's movie, you see, for example, I think one of them said, how Wonder Woman was inconsistent with what she was doing, how she was flying in Wonder Woman 84 and it doesn't look like she's flying in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I say to them, well, like in comic books, sometimes Wonder Woman can fly, and in comic books and different issues, she doesn't fly. You don't go into Wonder Woman when she's not flying in one issue or one run and when she's flying in another run. And this is Zack Snyder's run. Zack Snyder's run is one in which Wonder Woman doesn't fly. In his series of movies, like a comic book run, like an issue, she doesn't fly. Patty Jenkins, she's in a different comic book run, and sometimes the runs overlap. Like, for example, the first Wonder Woman movie in World War I, where she was not flying, overlaps with Zack Snyder's Justice League, though it's a totally different story. And, as everybody said, almost like a separately removed world, as Diana recalls her past. It is a recollection, mind you. Just like with Joker. Joker's recollecting things to a shrink. Okay? So you have to understand this is through the hero's lens. Now, Man of Steel is partially through Clark Kent's lens, partially through a number of different people's lens, which lends it to more credibility. Batman v Superman, again, a movie that is not just through somebody's lens. Okay? Now, why this is important is because they say this that the DCEU is inconsistent and it seems to be held together. It's not like a Feige Marvel. And I'm like, Feige was doing something totally different. You have to understand DC approaches their stuff differently to Marvel. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to compare them is just to contrast them because they're two different things. Zack Snyder is doing a comic book run. Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. In introducing Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman, you get a side or spin-off run of Wonder Woman. So Zack decided to do it retroactively. He didn't decide to go everything linear. I said, I'll introduce the characters. You get interested in them, and then we'll get more delving into it. It's like having a canonic run, say, for instance, of DC's Justice League. Or let's say DC's World's Finest. And then you have a side run off of that from one of the world's finest written by a different author, where he takes liberties to do things that he would want to do with that side character that doesn't necessarily fit into what the character was doing in the world's finest. But because you got interest in the character that was introduced in the world's finest, you follow through with it. So when they say inconsistency in the DCEU, they obviously haven't read a comic book, that's for sure. And also, it's very consistent with the genre. The genre is comic book movies. Okay? And just because people do something one way doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it only that way, which is narrow-minded. And if you're going into a movie narrow-minded like that, you'll get that. We have the CW. Just because one actor is playing different iterations of a character doesn't necessarily mean that that character must be held lock and barrel that particular way. And this is what the DCU has introduced. And with the multiverse, the way how the DCU is introducing it, not like how Marvel's doing it, again, a distinct difference. So we have two Flashes. We have two Superman. We have two Batman. We have seen, actually, in the CW, we've had multiple iterations of Batman. In the DC Universe Online, we've had a Robin. Now Titans has moved to HBO Max. So we have a Robin out there, or now he's a Nightwing. But the point is, we get different iterations of the character, which is what you're supposed to see with comics. DC's has a different approach to how they're doing their characters than Marvel is doing it. And why is that a problem? So People are trying to say, well, Zack Snyder, it's so ad hoc how they're moving along and stuff. Well, it's because it's a creative process, and creative processes are dynamic. That's why Joker was a successful movie. They had an idea of what they wanted to do, but they kept on winging it till they got to the truth of it. It's all about the integrity of the creative process, which a lot of these people don't understand. Why is it that we have such dumbass critics criticizing a movie or critiquing a movie when we have fans who get it, get the universe, and potentially we have something greater than just what Marvel has. Marvel is yes, they got a universal formula or whatever they're doing, but still, DC has the ability to approach something multiple ways, using multiple characters, and even the same character, multiple iterations. DC has something very, very special. And Warner Brothers Media, I'm going to speak to Jason Keeler. Somebody get this video to Jason Keeler. Jason Keeler needs to understand, and I'm not saying Leroy Cohn that DC's better than Marvel. I'm not saying that. And Rotten Tomatoes is nothing. I got you. I'm not saying that DC is better than Marvel. I'm just saying they approach things differently. Because based on your taste, you will like DC more than Marvel. I like DC more than Marvel. I don't even watch Marvel, okay? I used to watch X-Men. I used to watch, Spider-Man. I used to watch those things. I'm just not interested in Marvel, okay? Period. Pick a shades, walking home from the store, listening with headphones. All right, man. So for me, you know, let me tell you the kind of movies I like. Again, for those people who understand: Split, Glass, Untouchable. That's a trilogy, and it's going to move on. I love that. I love that stuff. What Todd McFarlane wants to do with Spawn, I'm absolutely going to be in there. I'm going to be in on that. Okay, those are the kinds of movies I like. Ridley Scott's Black Blade Runner. Okay, those are the kinds of movies I like. So when you ask me Conan the Barbarian, even though it's a little bit wacky now, looking back at it, those are the kinds of movies I like. So you'll understand it's not necessarily a DC film that I like. I like grounded realism, realistic characters. That's what Zack Snyder gave. When I look at Marvel, I don't get grounded. I don't get realistic. And no matter what these people tell me, I don't see it. I see Hollywood. I see stunts. I see, woo, that looked so great. That was fanciful, you know. But I don't get grounded reality. I don't feel like these are grounded characters. And you could give me 10, 12, 15 of those films, they just still don't feel grounded to me. Right? Because they say, oh, you laid out the foundation. Now, let me tell you what the foundation was and what they should have built off of, and they stopped doing it. Captain America, the first Avenger, the first Iron Man. All right? That was the foundation. You got me. And then the second and third and fourth was shit. Okay? For me. Not necessarily for the other people who love the characters and decided to attach themselves to them and follow them. But for me, it was shit. Point being that I didn't buy into that hype. Right? And I grew up reading Marvel comics as well as DC comics. Okay? But that's just not my thing. The way how they iterate and how they bring the stuff to the stage is not my thing. I don't believe in just jokes. The jokes turn me off, okay? And you can be funny, but don't send me to a comedy bar. That's not my thing, okay? And don't give me cheap, unearned emotional downturns and difficulty. Spark with a joke in between. Fuck that. I don't care about it. Sorry about the F-bomb. So that's me. That's the visceral part of me speaking about it. So I don't really engage in those movies. I don't review those movies. I don't talk about those movies. WandaVision came and left. I haven't even paid attention to it. What's the Marvel movie that's coming out? It's not Black Widow. Black Widow came out? Did Black Widow come out? I can't remember. You know what was a Marvel movie I wanted to see? Morbius. Fuck yes. I wanted to see Morbius. That's the movie I wanted to see. Shit, yeah. I'll watch that. But with respect to Marvel movies, hell no. what's coming out next? Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think it is. I saw. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the trailer or anything. And no disrespect to people who like Marvel, but I didn't watch the trailer. But I saw that that was supposed to come out sometime a little bit later on. All right. And to me, when I see those things, it's like acrobats. It's like somebody in a circus. It feels like a fucking circus for me. I'm just being very visceral. So they're doing all these little fanciful little dances and jumps and leaps and whatever they're doing. And they're like, it's like, to me, it reminds me of slavery. To get really graphic with you guys, and some of you guys are going to hate me for this, but it's like somebody shooting at a black guy's foot and saying tap dance. That's the shit that when I see a Marvel movie, that's what I think about. All right? And that's terrible, but that's the way I feel about it. Now, if you want to know how breaking down the movies and the structure and stuff, totally different. I'm not going to approach it that way. I'm not going to even say that. And guys, I don't say that much about Marvel movies. But the thing is, I don't really watch them. It's not my thing, right? And I can get critics and people who, it's not my thing. It's just not my thing. Zack Snyder Justice is just not my thing. I just realized that. But to tell me, oh, the universe should never go in that direction, and after the fans have done what they've done and all that, come on, man, shut up. Shut up. Give it up, because all you're going to get is pie in your face. You can get more pie in your face because there's room for both universes. What Warner Brothers wants to continue doing, there's room for it. What Zack Snyder wants to continue doing, and not just him with 2 and 3, but also the other directors who didn't get their stuff out, there's room for it. Absolutely. The Ayer cut, everything. There's room for it. And here's the thing. It's a multiverse. So here's the funny thing about the whole thing. Justice League 2017 can actually exist along with Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's how interesting it is. Warner Brothers can continue doing whatever they want to do with their characters, with the Flash, whatever they want to do. They can continue. But so can the Snyderverse. And somewhere down the road, it can overlap both. And if they want to overlap their universe with Marvel, they can still do it. They have like the ultimate ideal situation if they play their cards right. But there are executives in Warner Brothers, and they have their shills writing for them in critics, and they bought out certain media and press, which are trying to force a dynamic that the fans have rejected with Justice League. They rejected it. Then with Shazam. Shazam is not a big money-making film. You know why? They're trying to do the Marvel route, trying to build Shazam. You know why? Because the fans are not into it like that. Aquaman was a big success because Jason Momoa supported Zack Snyder. That's the reason. And Gal supported Zack Snyder with Wonder Woman 84, but Wonder Woman 84 was just a little bit too much. Okay? The core fan base of DC, are not Marvel fans. They are Snyder Cut fans. And we will express and show our power and presence when this Snyder Cut debuts. Y'all gonna see. It doesn't matter if you spoil the film for us. You can spoil the shit as much as you want. We still gonna buy it. Because we know what Zack Snyder brings. And it's not just a vocal minority. This is a tremendous amount of people all over the world who love Zack Snyder's movie. That's why this thing became a media machine. This is why this thing, you could not be denied. We proved it the first time. And some of the people now, they're piggybacking and they're riding the train because the train keep rolling and it ain't stopping now. The momentum's gone. It's over. Forget it. Zack Snyder's going to be doing Justice League 2 and 3. It's going to happen. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. Warner Brothers, get out the way because you're going to get leveled. Because the fans are adamant that this will happen. And of course, Zach is going to want to take a break, and but guess what? It's going to happen. And I know somebody who's 100% behind it happening because that's what HBO Max is about. Jason Keeler. He wants this. He likes the content on HBO Max. And by the way, HBO Max also debuted Tom and Jerry. You guys should check it out. If you subscribe to HBO Max, and let's get these subscriptions as high as possible for HBO Max. Let's make it a resounding success so it can be global, because this is the kind of content we die for. I'm seeing all these great movies, on HBO Max, and I'm like, man, god damn it. I mean, this is like a comic book fan's dream. This is like a moviegoer's dream. All the great movies from the past. Come on, man. We need to support HBO Max and Jason Keeler. And we need a committed fan base. HBO Max will know that, and Snyder Cut fans are so loyal. So let's do it. Let's do it. Because if we support HBO Max, I guarantee you the Snyder Cut's going to happen somehow, some way. The Snyder Cuts versions 2 and 3 will happen. I can't wait for it, because I know it's coming over the horizon. And if we have to wait 2, 3, 4, 5 years for it, it's not a problem. It won't take that long. Zach has a lot of projects, but and I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited about this. Now, and we already know, I already know that this is going to be great. I don't know exactly what Justice League, the cut that's coming out is going to be. Oh, by the way, I'm so excited to share this, but I got a video coming up, a music video that I collabed with Metas and Mortals. It's gonna be great. It's a reflection of the Snyder Cut family in the Justice League movie that's coming out, and just the trials and tribulations, and also not just the trials and tribulations, but also not just the hero's journey, but also the triumphant release of some people. Some people got released from demons in their lives. Some people also got support to be able to actually garner work through this movement. All right, people who have exceptional skills and exceptional talent and exceptional ability have been put on the fore. And this is the beautiful thing about the Snyder Cut movement. I love and I appreciate. All right, people have gotten a voice. People got work. People got paid for what they were doing. And so I'm so very excited about that. Now, I just wanted to say, because again, this is off the cuff video, and I am doing a business. I'm not on YouTube just because, even though I'm impromptu, I don't put I don't put any scheduled dates when I'm going to stream or nothing. You guys don't get any heads up. I just pop up. I just wanted to say to you guys, though, that I really appreciate the love that just throughout the movement. There's a love. And as much as we are nerds and anal retentive about certain things, and even when we argue with people, there's a certain love for people. And I want to just let you guys know, as much as we disagree with the critics, and I call them gods and stuff, I don't want you guys to have any animosity towards them. They're just people like you and I. And if they don't like Zack Snyder's movie, they don't like it. It's okay. And that doesn't mean that they're bad people because they don't like the movie. Okay? I'm just calling out their hypocrisy on the fact that you just don't like the movie. Just say, I don't like it. I don't like the style. Just say that. When you're critiquing the movie and you're putting a grade, I have critiqued Marvel films, okay? I remember I did, what movie was it? Ant-Man. I remember looking at Ant-Man, and I got myself immersed as much as possible into the movie experience of Ant-Man. And I'm going to tell you, when I graded this movie, I said people who like these kinds of movies, and I specifically spoke about the adventure element, about also the juxtaposition of the different major characters with each other. I thought that was beautiful. And I wanted to talk about the beautiful elements in these movies, because for me, the negative is not my big harp. Even if especially when I don't like something, when I hate something, I like to make sure that I give the best possible job possible in talking about the positives of it. I mean, you guys saw me with Donald Trump, how I try to look for the positive in things. And I try to let my mind expand further, because it's when you hate something that you can grow the best, by looking past the obvious and being able to pull out the really good grains of good things that were in it. That's how I was able to, really strain out and look at the good stuff in Justice League. So for me to say I hate a film, oh, blah, 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 I tell you all the reasons why I hate it, it's stupid. I'm not growing. I have to look past my hate for something and see what it really is and why people appreciate certain things. And that's the thing that I think is lacking with critics. They're like, I was not really fond of this movie. Um, but I can see how people can like this aspect of it, that aspect of it, this aspect of it, and you say now, as a critic, while this is not my taste in movies, people who like X, Y, Z, and then tie together the nuts and say the story was well put together, blah 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 blah. When you can have that kind of discussion on a movie by a critic, I respect that critic. Because that critic, while they have a bias against the movie, they do not take that bias and throw it into the story that's being told, or they have a bias against the director or whatever. All right? That is how I was able to say that Justice League that I saw was a 7. And I liked it. The first one, the Whedon cut. And again, when being critical about movies, you cannot be a narrow-minded person trying to deal with the broadness of things that are before you. All right? And in the case of this movie, in which the fans demanded it, in which the fans don't even give a flying damn what the critics think, it's very important for them because I think critics are not going to be relevant very soon, and people are just going to like what they like, and they're just going to watch what they watch. But critics, the important thing about critics was the movie making process, people looking at a critic and being able to say, okay, this is the kind of movie I like. And all of this was towards, nominations for awards, whatever. And truly, really good movies, I think we universally agree on certain movies being universally good. So, my point being this. Those people who are diehard Marvel fans, you need to take off your Marvel hat. And when you're judging a movie as a DC film or whatever film it is, do not look at it as, oh, it's not as good as Marvel. Because the moment you start that conversation is the moment you've missed what the movie was actually doing. And there are different approaches to how you want to tell a story. And therefore, if you are limited in your thinking and reasoning about how something can be approached, because all you believe in is this is the blueprint and how to do it, then you're not going to be able to give a fair assessment. You're going to be biased. And nobody's going to take you seriously. That's for the gods out there. The gods who feel there's only one way to do something and no other way. And that's just not true. And we've seen this as a fact in the fact that the Snyder Cut has come to pass because of HBO Max. Oh, it was never going to come to pass. It'll never show in theaters, which it will. It will also show in IMAX when all is said and done. And Warner Brothers is beginning to realize that they can support Zack Snyder. I see them doing Batman v Superman is out on Warner Brothers, and they're advertising trailers for it. I've seen them do the Man of Steel stuff. Warner Brothers Pictures is now getting behind Zack Snyder, and I do believe we will get Justice League Part 2. No matter what anybody says, that is a must happen. And as for the gods, Mr. and Mrs. Gods, try to do a better job of criticizing Zack Snyder's movies. I've seen some gods like Chris Stuckman do a better job of assessing movies. He has become more thoughtful, not just looking to trash a movie, but literally very thoughtful in how he goes about doing it. Your rating as a critic doesn't get higher because you're being more negative. People will call you out on your bluff, and they'll call you out on your crap. Movie making, people are getting more movie savvy, fans, etc. Some of us became more movie savvy because we were seeing people who are supposedly authorities on how films is made, or people who are adjudicators, doing a botch up job on it, collecting dollar bills and favors for writing hit pieces. And in this era where people are revising the old order and the old way of doing things, it's very important for these people to understand. People are not going to buy into your BS anymore. They're not listening to you. They realize that the power is in their hands. It's not fan driven or mob driven. We want this. No. The director does what he does. Fans are not dictating what the director does in that respect. But the studios. You know what's interesting? And I do commentary for boxing as well as um, for movies. I haven't done a lot of movies. I've just been talking mostly about Zack Snyder and Justice League and so on. But in both counts, when the fans get what they want, the MCU fans got what they want, or at least that's what they think, right? They say Kevin Feige listens to them. In MMA, UFC, the UFC fans get what they want because the UFC listens to them. Warner Brothers and DC need to understand that the fans must get what they want. You have to listen to the fans, not the critics, not some salty fans that are yelling very loud. Otherwise, your movies won't make money like you want them to. They just won't. When I heard that uh, the head of DC Films was wondering why Joker should be released, what was the relevance? It showed how completely out of tune he was. Walter Hamada, how out of tune he was with the fan base. Now, initially, the fans were like, why are we having a Joker movie? So he may have asked that same question. But when this movie came out, it was a resounding success because from the first trailer I saw, I was like, I'm on board with this shit. You have to know your fan base. Joker made over $1 billion because of the Snyder Cut fan base that dug it, because of people who think like the Snyder Cut fan base. I'm not saying that all of them want the Snyder Cut or all of them have seen Zack Snyder's movies, but it's a certain caliber of person that wants these movies. It's a certain type of person wants these movies, likes Joker, tolerated Aquaman, like Man of Steel, like Batman v Superman. There's a certain type of fan that they're not tapping into. These are the fans that tilted over. These are the fans that give you over $1 billion as you want in the box office. If you do not have this fan base supporting you, your movies won't go anywhere. That's why you have to do these small budget movies. And you make a small profit from them. Because you're not listening to the majority of fans who really want certain things. And some of these fans are CW fans. Some of them are very eclectic. They can go through the whole bandwidth and they really look at everything DC and they enjoy it. But the majority of them have felt isolated. They felt ostracized. They felt like they're on the outside looking in because DC's not offering them anything that they really are interested in. And all DC's giving them is the same old, and they're not interested in that. So something has to be done because the Snyderverse has to come back. And you can have, that stuff that you're trying to push, but you also can have the Snyderverse. It's a multiverse, for crying out loud. DC has allowed a multiverse to roll in. And let's have the Snyderverse. And if the Snyderverse keeps going, then let's keep it going. And so many things have come out of this. Justice needs to be done for all the people who have been trampled on. Justice needs to be done in terms of people who have never been held accountable for being toxic in their positions of power, and then trying to flip the script and blame the fans as being toxic when the fans push back on them. The industry of Hollywood needs a cleaning over. And it's happening. The shakeup is happening. And things are going to change. So these people were resistant to that and trying to hold fast to the fact that the gods say that the Snyder Cut is a cul-de-sac. Like I'm going to go villain on it, y'all. Lex Luthor said, and now God bends to our will. And I'm gonna quote a Batman line in Justice League. I haven't seen it yet, but still, they haven't met anything like us. Not us united. And you're gonna have to deal with a substantive part of the fan base who goes and buys your movies. You're gonna have to deal with us, and we're gonna wield our power on you, and not in a irresponsible way. We're not going to be a mob irresponsibly, but we're going to ask for the restoration of the Snyderverse. We all knew that this Snyder Cut was going to lead to that. And we will not stop. Now we've gained steam and momentum. And the people who are like, woe is this, we don't want that. I say to them, you can have what you have. Nobody's saying you can't have whatever version of Superman you want to have. You can have that. We're not stopping Warner Brothers from doing whatever they want to do. But we're saying that we can have this universe exist as well. So now everybody's happy. And if anybody is angry and resistant about that, that is when we will put our foot down, and like Rorschach, we will stand in the face of Armageddon. Because we will not stand for somebody that, as they want to call it cancel culture. You want to cancel culture a group of fans that support the majority of your base for what? That's cancel culture, because there's nothing evil we're trying to do as fans. All we want is something that we love, and we want to see it exist, and we want to see it thrive, because we love it. That's why this movie is coming out. That's why this movie is coming out. If it didn't make dollars and it didn't make sense, and it wasn't because all these people from all over the world wanted to see this movie would never have happened. It's an existence as a fact that the fans want this. And as an entertainer, you better pay attention to the fans. And if the fans say, we want this universe to continue, you better pay attention to the fans, because they're not going to stop. This is not a one-off. It's not. Just like how supporting suicide prevention, the creativity we see in this fan base, Comic-Con on a whole other steroidal level, that they formed their own Justice Con, that they formed their own little meeting and group. We did things This group and fandom has done things that none of us ever expected, and it all wasn't planned. It happened organically. So yes, there can be a universe that's organic, that everything's not planned, but as it moves along, it evolves. Something that Marvel does not have. That's what makes DC and this particular universe different. And we want it to stay that way. So why not? Give me a reason why not. Why not? There's no reason you have. Oh, there's not enough money. Oh, there's money, donors, sponsors. Oh, yeah, there's always money for this. Whatever these studios want to do, there's money for it. So don't go there. There's money for this. Well, it might overshadow the ideas that Warner Brothers has. No, it won't. No, it won't. Because these movies didn't overshadow the CW. Titans is showing. We have a Doom Patrol going. So no, it won't. They'll work hand in hand. DC has different flavors. It'll work hand in hand. So that's not true either. Well, Marvel will be threatened by it, and DC fans will beat their chest and stuff. No, it won't. Marvel has its own fan base, loyal to it. So what really is the reason why this universe cannot appear? It's not too costly because they paid $70 million to get this going. And with a loyal fan base to HBO Max and blowing up HBO Max and blowing up HBO Max streaming, and the projection figures being so positive, oh, no. This can never be something that's negative. Never. Not to mention all the other movies we will see on HBO Max and all of the content and some of the small films that many eyes don't get to see. Loved Ridley Scott's Raised by Wolves. Loved it. So come on now. I got hooked on that shit. So come on now. HBO Max, awesome. We want it. So there's no reason why the universe cannot be restored. Well, there may not be availability of actors and stuff. No. Don't go there either. I'll show you why. One, the actors want to work with Zach. Two, even if they have work, they can schedule it so that they can work. Now we know through this COVID that you don't have to be physically in the same place to do scenes. So with Ezra Miller's Flash. So it's possible. So that's a no-brainer. That's a 0 point as well. And I know there's so many people who want to work with Zach. Okay? And I just don't get it. Why the hate for Zack Snyder? Because he's an outsider? Because he's not an inside Hollywood guy with all these Hollywood connections? That's the reason? Because he's so sincere and earnest? Isn't that what everybody loved Wonder Woman for? Until they found out that Zack Snyder had something to do with the story? And then all of a sudden, oh no, Zack didn't, but he didn't direct it though. What is with the hate for Zack Snyder? I say it's something political. I say Zack is exposing things, not intentionally, but he's exposing things about Hollywood that Hollywood doesn't like. That his narrative is not one that Hollywood agrees to. It's not the usual Hollywood tropes. So they have to bash him. Not to mention, a lot of people in Hollywood worship the devil. And we know this. There's a lot of good people too, don't get me wrong. But there's a substantial amount that worship the devil. And ain't nobody mad at you for worshiping the devil, but don't be mad because if you have movies where the devil gets praised and nobody says nothing. So why is it a problem for Jesus to be praised? Why is it a problem for Moses to be praised? What is the problem with that? Being genuine about it? There's no Wicca, Wicca funny looking trees growing up inside of Justice League? Like what Joss Whedon was doing? Huh? I'm just saying. As a Christian, I'm so proud of it. Yeah, there's some F-bombs in there though. But my point being that the shakeup is what is really getting them all squealing. Whether it's the studio or whatever. They're squealing because it's a shakeup. I heard people talking about Aaron Rand. I heard people saying, oh, the characters are inconsistent. I heard one person say, how pointless it was with the mother boxes. They went And when the Amazons had it protected in their temple, the Atlanteans had it protected in a under the sea in a special place. But when it comes to the humans, it was in a cupboard in the back of some house. And I was like, no, dummy. If you knew the backstory, you would know this stuff was actually buried in the ground, dug up. We saw it at the end of Wonder Woman, dug up and carried to the labs, and then hidden away in a certain place because it started to activate. So, no, it was in a protected area, deep in the heart of the earth. But and I think that story is going to be told actually about the mother boxes anyway. So, but the point is, a lot of people speak out of their feelings more than they speak out of, especially professional people these days, speak out of their feelings and not out of objective assessment of things, you know. And it's strange because it don't take much thinking and thought and recollection to be able to get the right answer to something and to properly assess something. But the emotions get in the way of these people and they just blow it. They blow the opportunity to show how consistent and systematic they are in terms of their assessment of a film. You know. Anyways, man, I am Christ, I am disciple. I know I have to go take a bath. It took a whole hour with you guys talking about this because the gods, the so-called gods of Hollywood, the guys with the pen, the guys who can write whatever they want to write about a film and a movie, and it's almost like law. They're losing their grip. Warner Brothers Pictures is losing its grip. Those executives are losing their grip, and they're freaking out. You know how much things they try to do to sabotage this movie, some people. But now, some of the guys in Warner Brothers Media are turning around and saying, let's go with it. Let's go with it. And let me say this. I hope that Patty Jenkins stays in Warner Brothers. I hope she gets to tell her story. All my thing with you, Patty, is the action. It was the action but I'm happy with your story. Your story's all right. Better than Aquaman's. And Aquaman's was an adventure, a swashbuckling adventure. And it was good. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is entertainment's entertainment, but I'm just saying, for me, your first Wonder Woman movie was, oh my God, it was fantastic. Fantastic. So that's what I got to say about these movies. You guys can check me out later on if you want to. Those who stayed for so long for me just talking about this stuff, that's funny. But I'm gonna catch you guys later. I am Christ, I am disciple, aka Anson Phillip. Guys, I got a treat for you guys later on today, probably tonight. It's still working on it in the studio. I have some other things I'm working in the studio as well. I got to work with different people. The studio, by the way, is this phone. That's so funny. Hopefully, I can stream myself reacting to the movie and watching it. I may have to watch it on my phone, but to be able to do it, I may have to get another phone activated. I have a very expensive phone that I paid a lot of money for, and within 2 months, it wasn't working. The warranty, I went back to get the warranty on it, and they said the region that I was in, for some reason, it's not warranted. So I've had this problem with me, and I'm trying to solve it out as much as I can today. Anyway, I'll see you guys later, man. I'm not what you need. I am what you need is my other channel. I am Christ, I am disciple. I hope you guys have a great day. I know you guys are itching. It's almost like 1 day left between now. Wednesday is the only day left, and then we get to see this movie. I'm gonna order it on Google Play because I'm international. I wish I could get it on Apple TV, but Google Play. What you guys got to do with Google Play, right? Some people say when it plays on Google Play, it's 480k. Yes, 480p. But if you play it on YouTube, go to YouTube because YouTube is linked to Google Play. So what'll happen is when you play it on YouTube, you get the 1080p on your phone or on your TV. So 1080p is pretty good. I mean, 4K is the best, but depending on if you have a 4K TV or you have a 4K projector, projected on a wall would be great. But I have to see it on my phone, unfortunately. And if I can get the other phone working, I'll put it on that phone, which can deal with 4K. Um, and the thing about it is, my phone's working. It's just the screen not working on the phone for some reason. But yeah. So the thing about it is, I want to live show you my reactions to the movie in real time as I watch it. Um, I want you guys to experience it. And of course, Zack Snyder's going to be doing, I think, the night in the afternoon. He's going to be doing a breakdown, where he's commenting on the movie as it goes through it. So that's going to be a very exciting time as well. Of course, people in the movement who have already seen the movie, you guys have been treated. I know you guys are watching it like multiple times because you got that digital streaming of the movie. You got access to it, and that's great. I hope you guys purchased the movie in spite of the fact that you have a digital copy of it. I can't wait for um, seeing the responses of so many people to this movie. I will be doing a non-spoiler review, and probably a week or so afterwards, I'll do a spoiler review of the movie. I'm not gonna spoil. I'm not gonna do a spoiler review immediately, and I'm gonna take my time and do a spoiler review of it because um, I don't mind listening to other people spoil the movie and stuff, and even having my conversations and even discussing it. And if you're not somebody who's troubled by spoilers, then they're great. But for me, I just want to see it. I think a lot of you guys just want to see it the same way as I do. But we will see it in time. So the wait is also beautiful. The anticipation and the wait is good. We don't need no more trailers. I don't need to see another teaser. I don't want nobody to spoil it no more than it already is spoiled. I just want to see it. And you know what's amazing thing about this movie is that we've seen a version of this movie in some sort of form before. And I think what's great for the fandom and all of us is that the journey that we had to see this movie makes it so much sweeter. And I'm pretty sure some of you guys are going to cry and laugh. And I mean, when I saw the first trailer, the Hallelujah trailer of Justice League, made me cry. And a lot of people cried and stuff. And just all the emotion came out. And I just think it's going to be a tremendous experience for a lot of people because we actually walked the walk of this Justice League to see this movie. So it's awesome. You know what I mean? And to some degree, Warner Brothers Pictures is like Darkseid. It's like Apocalypse and Darkseid. It's kind of weird. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Shout out to Warner Brothers Pictures. Um, it's one of those things where when you have an enemy in the camp, which should be riding for you, and you're getting cut on the inside. It's one thing to be cut on the outside, but to be cut on the inside, man, that's just like your own enemies, your own studio. That's some messed up stuff, man. I'm not saying that that's the case necessarily, but I mean, as fans, man, and you know how they try to attack us as fans because we made the Snyder Cut possible, and we're gonna make a lot more things possible, and they're attacking us, for doing something good. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing that's wrong? Like, what are we doing as fans that is negative, but they make it negative, and they say, they're toxic fans, and they're this and they're that, all these negative things for people who just want to see a movie. Why? And I like the pushback, with the Richard Donner thing. I remember when people were asking for the Richard Donner cut, and they were asking and asking and asking, and for some reason, they didn't get the kind of flack that we were getting because we intensified it, because there was this pushback by Warner Brothers, the studio, and then by people who are shills for them, and then of course, by extension, people who don't want to see this particular director direct. And then you got the other people from Marvel who are like, oh, we don't want that competition. For some reason, they're very edgy about it. They just want the MCU to thrive or whatever. But me personally, I'm like, look, man, we're not doing anybody any harm. People are going to have their fan bases. Some Marvel fans are going to come across to DC and be like, man, I'm on DC. Okay. And that's okay. Because guess what? Some DC fans will jump across to Marvel and stay there. Okay. It's a trade off. I don't understand why this is a big problem. Like, I don't understand unless people are trying to monopolize the market, like Disney's trying to buy up all the real estate, and this is a way to whittle down Warner Brothers media and pictures, whittle them down so that Disney can eventually purchase them out, just like how they did Fox and so on. Because remember, Warner Brothers Media was purchased by AT&T and not by Disney. Okay, and Disney was bidding as hard as they could, but AT&T outbid them. So that's what went down. So you got to understand, it's a hostile takeover that's trying to happen. I always thought about that. And like I said before, they were trying to lighten up and brighten up and brighten up and lighten up and lighten up and brighten up. And I'm like, what's up with that? Like, because you see, Disney's trying to take it over. That's what they were trying to do. So let's see how AT&T can manage the situation, as well as Warner Media. I'm behind AT&T, especially Jason Kilar, 100%. I can't wait for this movie to come out. It's like a love letter to the fans. I'm so happy about it. People have called me gatekeeper because I said, hey, look, if it's not a movie that you think would like, then why are you watching it? Don't watch a movie that you know the director's style is not something you like. That's all I tell people. I always tell people, if you're a critic and you don't like this particular director's take on things, then don't do it. Get somebody else to do it for you. It's really simple. Why put yourself through all of that? So that's the same thing I'm gonna say to these critics. If you're the gods, I like to call them, the gods, you need to understand, if this is not your flavor of the month, then don't do it. What are you putting yourself through that for? Unless you want personal growth or something, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. And just because it's in the news doesn't mean you have to cover that news, or you can just cover the news and call it a day. So that's all I got for you guys. I'm gonna catch you guys later. I am Christ and disciple. I hope you guys have a great day. Let me give you this little piece of scripture, because I'm trying to do scriptures where I can, in spite of my state of affairs. This scripture says, my words are spirit, they are life. He how's it go? He was explaining to his disciples that he have to eat his flesh and drink his blood. And they were like, what? So he said, my words are spirit, they are life. Okay? So that's what he was talking about. In other words, what inspires people, which is life, the words of inspiration, those are the things they inspire people, because they take those things into their processes, into their minds, and they get inspired. Okay? So the same way, I hope that you guys are inspired today. You take in the positive things that somebody might breathe into your life, and you use it to bless others. All right? Have a good day. Peace.